Yo, what's up? Today we're going to check out the drum sampler. We're going to see a lot of production techniques with it, including the amazing playback effects, how to combine different sequencers with it, and even a free Max for Live device and a free iPhone app that allows you to control anything in Ableton, including the drum sampler, with your phone. Huge thanks to Ableton for sponsoring this video. Let's check it out. Okay, so I have an empty live set here, and today we're going to use this free sample pack called Jungle. I'll put the link in the description. Let's switch to the arrangement view, and we don't really need all these tracks. Let's say go to the breaks folder, and here we have a bunch of breaks. Most of them are already edited. But let's go classic for today, like almond break. Just a short section out of it. Let's right click, choose slice to new MIDI track. These settings are good, just the transient, default slicing preset, warp doesn't matter because we're going to use the drum sample, doesn't have the warp option. Let's hit OK. We're going to get a new MIDI track, and we can delete this track. A new MIDI track with our slices. First thing, I'm going to right click, and I'm going to choose simpler to drum sampler. So all those slices are not going to be in a drum sampler. And right now we can fold the macros and the variation. We don't really need to see them. Nice. We also get a clip. Let's hit Z to zoom in. We also get a clip just to play the slices chronologically. Let's loop that. But probably our BPM is too slow right now. Let's speed it up. Let's do like 170. Okay, nice. Now we can also rename these just so it's easier to work with in the MIDI clip. Awesome. Now let's open up the clip here. You can open up from here or Command Option 3. Again, let's do Command Option 4 right here so we can see both at the same time, and we can delete this. Sweet, let's start the sequencing, just kind of the basic pattern that we want here. So I'm going to do kick snare, and then we're going to do syncopated. Let's do the other snare. Nice. Now we can start putting in some extra stuff. I'm going to make the grid smaller. You can also use Command 2. Let's do Command 1 to make 16th notes. Let's add some fill snares here. Maybe. Nice. Let's fill it up even more. Maybe another hat here. Maybe here. And what else? We're not using this one. Okay, nice. Now, the first thing we can talk about is the built-in filter here. Now, each one of these slices have its own filtering. So what I can do is I can right-click on one of the filters. I can map it to one of the macros. You'll see the macros are already renamed because of our slicing preset. Let's open up the macros. Let's map it to the first one. It's called Sample Start. I'm going to rename it. Let's call it a filter. And maybe even give it a color. Nice. And now I'm going to right click again on this filter frequency, and I'm going to map to all siblings. So we have. So now essentially they're all mapped to the same macro. Let's do the same for the resonance and map to all siblings. And let's do reso. Nice. And maybe we'll see just those two. We don't need to see more. So that's very useful when you want to map one thing to everything at the same time. Map to all siblings. Sweet. Now, let's do some variation here with our slices. I'm going to duplicate the entire clip, or the entire bar. Let's do 2 bars. And here, let's do some variation. Now, it's very easy to do variation with Ableton's Live 12 MIDI tools. So, for example, I can take this, and I'm going to go to the MIDI transformation tools. Let's do recombine. Let's recombine them in some way right here. We can even shuffle them. Oh, and let's go back to our arrangement. Make sure that we're actually looping 2 bars now. Nice, let's duplicate this one more time. I'm going to select all of these and this. Let's shuffle them again. Let's move them around. And let's also create maybe another snare here. Just for another snare and a kick, maybe something like that. And once again, we'll have to extend this right here. Excellent. Now we can start using all these playback effects that each one of the slices have, which are really awesome small effects that we control with just these two controls right here. So for example, let's go to the snare, and maybe we want to stretch it. That's the first default effect here. We can hear that. Now, maybe it would be easier to control it with velocity. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this velocity down, velocity sensitivity. It's not going to affect the volume. We're going to use it only for modulation. So I'm going to turn this down, right-click, and copy value to siblings. All the slices, I want them to have 0 velocity sensitivity that controls the volume. And for the snare, let's use the velocity to modulate FX1, and let's bring it up. So now this will control this control right here. This is FX1, this is FX2. So I'm going to take the snare, turn this down. And now when I bring this up, and by the way, we turn it down a tiny bit now because the velocity. So let's bring it down, -6 dB, copy value. Maybe even more, -3, copy value. Let's speed it up a tiny bit. Okay, now we can hear it kind of. Let's bring the grain up a tiny bit shorter so we can hear it really stretching. Nice. Now, it does end at the end here because by default with this slicing preset, the default slicing preset, they're all on the same choke group. That means they cannot play at the same time together. If I have it very long here, you can hear that. It gets cut because of those other samples that are playing. So I'm going to open up the chain list, inputs, outputs. And here we have the choke group. I'm going to take it out of the choke group right here. We don't need it to be in the same choke group. Let's hide that. We don't need it anymore. Nice. So now we can make the snare to be longer. Let's do something like this. Maybe the last snare here, I'll stretch. Awesome stuff. So now let's do other similar things to maybe the kick. Let's go to the kick. And here we have another playback effect. Let's try the sub oscillator. Let's solo just the kick. Okay, let's remove this from the choke group. Here we go. Okay, there was some weird because of the other choking. Here we go. So now we have this sub oscillator. And we can change the frequency here. Might be useful for later once we start adding some pads and stuff if we add a tuner so we can see what note we are in. Okay, awesome. Also here we can automate this if we want, or we can map this to the velocity effects too. Right now, we'll just keep it like that. Let's do another one. Maybe, let's see. Let's do the fill snare. We have a bunch of them. Okay, let's do something here. We're going to go with, let's try maybe the 8-beat. So let's do that. I'm going to change the velocity modulation to FX1 and 100%. And let's automate this. I'm going to take the snare. Let's randomize velocity here. Just click randomize. And let's move this. Yeah. And now we get some movement with this velocity modulation on the FX1 control. Nice. Let's try maybe one more playback effect, pitch. Let's automate this, and we don't really have to use the velocity. You can always just right-click and show automation. Right here, we can automate that. Let's do a tiny bit. And maybe here at the end, we'll take it down. So you can do it however you want. Velocity is just very accessible because it's inside the clip already. But if you want to use automation, just classic automation, you can also do that on almost anything in the drum sampler. There's a lot more advanced stuff we can do, but let's move on. We'll keep it a bit more simple today. And at the end, I'll show you a bonus trick, how you can turn your iPhone, or I believe also Android, into a XY control so we can control this XY with just our phone for free. It's all free. Okay, let's move on. I'm going to now add a pad sound. So let's go back to our sample pack. Let's go pads, and let's add something here. These all have numbers on the Camelot wheel. So if you look at the Camelot wheel, you can also tell what key it is. Let's try this. Okay, I'm going to drag it in. One of the pads here. Sweet. I'm already going to take the hold. Let's take the hold so it's playing all the way. And 6A, if you look at the Camelot wheel, that is G minor. And I think our kick is already... It's already in G, so we're good. Let's place one here. Let's take down the velocity here. So we're gonna do some stuff with the playback. Okay, let's repeat that maybe here. Sweet. Let's turn it down just a tiny bit. And let's duplicate this entire clip again twice. So we have here 16 bars. And I'm going to change the pitch of these. So there's a lot of ways to do this. Let's just stretch this. Sound like that. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the MPE window. And in the MPE window here, we can right click on this, on the bottom here, on the modulation section, and choose pitch bend. So we change this to pitch bend. And now I can click on this pad. And let's change this to side click to add value. Let's do like -5. Nice. And let's duplicate that. And also, you know what? Let's also take this. I'm going to stretch it all the way with shift right arrow key. And I'm going to just add another point here, -4. So it just glides at the end. We hear that short glide. Let's do the same glide here at the end also with our pitch bend in here. It's per note pitch bend. Let's go -1. So almost to the 0. And we need to loop our entire clip here. Click, Command L. Awesome. If you want, of course, we can add other effects just on that pad because it's the power of the drum racks. So let's add like a phaser. Phaser here, maybe. And actually, let's do some cool looping here. Instead of holding it, we're gonna let's solo this. Okay, so we're not gonna play the sample all the way through. We're just gonna go to the loop playback effect. Let's do decay. And now we're looping it, but we're gonna automate the offset to go maybe something like this. So go all the way to the sample and then back. And maybe we're gonna just hold it all the way through. Nice. So now we just have some cool looping with our sample right here. Let's do the same here. Let's extend that. We're at -5. And we're gonna automate the offset of the looping. Let's do it right here. I guess we'll have to go all the way here. Let's do it like that. Maybe a bit shorter with the length. Awesome. Let's also start combining this drum sampler with some other sequencers. So I'm going to open up a new MIDI track, and we're going to load here. Let's load the drum rack, like the decap preset. Here, let's load this one. And we have now 3 new sequencers from the sequencers pack. If you have Ableton Live Suite, just download it. It's free from the Ableton website or directly from your browser down here. And we're going to load Rhythmic Steps. And this is a drum sequencer that is designed for the drum rack. And I would also assume specifically for the use with the drum sampler. I'll show you why. So here we have what sample, this orange, yellow one, what sample we're actually triggering. So we're triggering this kick. Let's do that here and here. Let's solo that for right now. Nice. Let's add our snares. And let's also add, I'm going to change this to maybe trigger this one. And let's add some other ones maybe here. This is the chance of when it's going to happen. So I don't want it to happen all the time. Maybe this, yes, and this. But not this one. Maybe we'll go with rim. I'll do this now. Nice. This will let's change to the hat. Let's do some hats here. Awesome. If we go to the Alt tab, we also have this alternative sound. Let's change it to an open hat right here. And we'll do every now and then just trigger open hat. Sweet. We also have the velocity. Let's just randomize velocity for the hat. Here we have tiny bit randomization, a lot of randomization, or full. Yeah, maybe something like that. And we have the slide. And the slide, if we go, let's go to the hi-hat. Let's solo this. Here we can go to change from modulation velocity to modulation slide. Let's do to FX1. And let's do 8-bit again. Let's randomize that. So now we can add more movement with this slide sequencer. I have a whole video just on the Rhythmic Steps. Really awesome, cool sequencer. Let's bring it back. Just because we have this new drum now, let's go back to our main drum rack and let's add let's just do sidechain compression with the compressor, sidechain it to our kick in that drum rack. Let's break this down. And I'm already going to load maybe a tiny bit of a limiter right here on the master. Let's maximize it. We'll do something like this. Okay, awesome. Let's say also now, just to finalize this, we'll add maybe just a vocal sample. Let's go right here, vocals, and
sound boy.
Let's try this. Let's load it in our drum rack here.
Sound boy.
And let's bring up the hold.
Sound boy.
Nice. And let's do this. I'm gonna take this here. We're gonna create a clip of just our sound boy. Where is that? That's not this. Right here. And I'm gonna mute our decap drum rack with the Rhythmic Steps, so we don't have this in our intro.
Sound boy. Sound boy.
And probably we don't want this sidechain as well for right now.
Sound boy.
Okay, nice.
Sound boy.
And let's do something cool with this. I'm going to loop it. Let's loop it. And we're going to loop let's offset it, just this boy.
Sound boy.
Let's do it for fun.
Sound boy.
Let's automate the length to go all the way down here. And right here at the end, we're also going to automate the pitch to go down, maybe a lot. And then let's go back to the clip. At the end, right here, we're going to have another sound boy right before we start again with our drums and stuff. And we probably also want a delay on it. And we have to automate the effects to also turn off right here.
Sound boy, why, 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 sound boy.
Okay, we probably need just one kind of like a heat effect. So I'm going to the effects folder here in this sample pack, and I'm sure we can find something here, something like this.
Sound boy, sound boy.
Let's tone it down a bit. Awesome. Okay, and finally, we have this free Max for Live device called A0 Jest. Let's load it up. It comes with a free app called Zig Sim. You'll see a bunch of stuff just running here. But it's already working, and I can move my phone. You see I'm moving my phone, and we have this acceleration. We have orientation. I can move it like that. X, Y, where I just move my finger on the screen. And all of this we can map to anything we want. So for example, I can map this to the XY control of our playback effects. So this is a free Max for Live device, but you do need Max for Live, which come packed with Ableton Suite. Drum sampler, compact, but very efficient, and you can do a lot of cool stuff with the playback effects. I have a lot more advanced tricks and tips for the drum sampler on my Instagram and TikTok, so I'll share them in the link description. And we also have full 2-hour workshops on ambient jungle, breakcore, melodic breaks, and all those other similar styles. Hope you like. I'll catch you next time.